This episode is brought to you by JCPenney. Yes, JCPenney. And if you've been there recently, you know it's the place to go for jaw-dropping looks at brag-worthy prices. They've got something special for every style and budget, not to mention rewards and deals that make finding those hidden gems even sweeter. If you already shop JCPenney, you're already in on the secret. But if not, it's time to ask. Wait, am I sleeping on JCPenney? Shop jcpenney.com. Yes, JCPenney.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This is Optimal Living Daily. Let's bust 6 self-care myths. And Imperfect Meditation. Not everything has to be perfect. Both by Emma McLaren of getmirth.com. Hello, old friend. I'm your narrator, Justin Malik, reading you blogs every single day of the year to help you live a more meaningful life. There are no interviews on this show. It's not really a typical podcast, just me narrating some amazing articles. I have 2 posts for you today, actually, so let's get right to them as we optimize your life. Let's bust 6 self-care myths by Emma McLaren of getmirth.com. If you've flown on a plane before, you've probably heard the following safety instruction before your plane takes off. In the event of a loss of cabin pressure, air masks will drop from the ceiling. Secure your own mask before helping others. Secure your own mask before helping others. That's a powerful bit of insight into our daily lives, but it might feel counterintuitive. So many of us are focused on helping others first, and only when we've done that work do we take some time for ourselves. That's all backwards, though. We can't help others if we're so burned out, run down, and exhausted that we have nothing left to give, or as Mirth's founder, Emma McLaren, is fond of saying, you can't pour water from an empty cup. Self-care is the way we prevent that burnout from happening. It's a regular practice of monitoring our own well-being, noticing when we feel depleted, and doing what's necessary to restore ourselves. It's also a trendy buzzword, and as so often happens when a word gets bandied around the internet, its meaning has gotten a bit fuzzy. Here are 6 myths about self-care. We're going to bust each one of them. Number 1, self-care is selfish. Self-care and selfish both have the word self in them, but that's about as similar as they get. Just ask the dictionary. Selfishness is about tending to your own pleasure or enjoyment at the expense of other people. Self-care is about meeting your own basic needs so that you are better able to help meet the needs of other people. Number 2, self-care is expensive. Self-care doesn't have to involve a day at the spa or a fancy vacation. In fact, the internet is full of ideas for free or inexpensive self-care. Number 3, self-care is frivolous. The concept of self-care hit the mainstream a couple of years ago, and since then has often been conflated with the wellness industry. When it started out, though, self-care was a radical idea. It was about taking care of yourself when the world was actively working against you. At its core, that's still what self-care is about, a radical decision to tend to your personal needs. Number 4, self-care is something you don't have time for. The busier you are, the more you need some self-care. It's a powerful tool for counteracting the effects of stress. Having a support system where you can check in every day will help you stay consistent with habits like morning meditation or journaling. Even just a few minutes a day will help. Number 5, self-care is anything that makes you happy. Sometimes it seems like self-care is all about facials and bubble baths and eating some ice cream. Those can be forms of self-care sometimes, but self-care is about more than that. It's about doing the things your mind, spirit, and body need to feel whole and nourished. That might be going for a walk after work, making sure to spend regular time with a treasured friend, or finally making that dentist appointment you've been putting off. Don't worry, you're not the only one. In fact, self-care might not feel great in the moment, especially if it means having to do something uncomfortable, but if it will help you feel better in the long run, it's still self-care. Remember, just because you don't feel like doing it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it if in the long run, you'll feel better once it's done. Don't let reluctance be an excuse to stay stuck forever. And number 6, self-care takes a lot of effort. For some people, self-care might involve extensive routines and lots of time, but it doesn't have to be that way. Making small, consistent, daily changes, 5 minutes of meditation every morning, taking a little time each afternoon for a cup of tea and watching some birds, or stretching every night before bed, for example, can be transformative. What matters is the consistency. Take a little time every day to take care of yourself. Imperfect meditation. Not everything has to be perfect, by Emma McLaren of getmirth.com. And then bring the attention back to I jumped out of my meditative position and paused the charming voice from the Headspace app before he even finished his sentence. It was my 8th day of the 10-day introductory meditation practice, but I had started the program almost a month ago. Each session takes only 10 minutes, so why did it take me so long to get through the introductory practice? Like any procrastinator, I felt guilty for procrastinating, of course, but in the middle of the beautiful British accented voice, I had this sudden moment of realization. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. People often confuse mindfulness with perfection. We think that if we're truly mindful, nothing will bother us and we'll be able to manage even the most intense experiences. Yet the mantras tell us to be accepting of our feelings, thoughts, and the very fact that we are imperfect. Is there a disconnect here? Maybe. If I had perfectly followed the Headspace introductory program, I would have finished it in the allotted 10 days. But at what cost? Instead, I went at the pace that worked for me. Even though I took over a month to complete what's supposed to be a basic 10-day meditation program, it doesn't matter. Meditation is not about perfection, but about personal and spiritual growth. And that process is different for everybody. Sometimes it helps to have more concrete reminders of that fact. When I was in graduate school, I used to create motivational quotes for myself to combat the intensity of my program. I regularly told myself, you are imperfect, but who the cares because you are amazing, and that is so much better. I came up with my own mantra that helped me through those stressful times. This self-made quote reminded me that imperfection is simply a part of life, something as commonplace and ordinary as crummy weather. We can't get rid of it, so we learn to live with it. Because here's the thing, perfection isn't real anyway. Perfectionism is often a sign that you're judging yourself too harshly and have an exaggerated sense of your own shortcomings. It can lead to self-defeating thoughts or behaviors, the very things so many of us are trying to combat with our meditation practice. That little voice in your head telling you that you'll never be good enough at focusing, so why bother trying to meditate in the first place? It's a dirty little liar. Don't listen to it. I took my time easing into a meditation practice. I did it on my own schedule when it worked for me and my needs. You can too. It's okay. As the old saying goes, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And anyway, now I meditate every day. So accept yourself and the journey you are on. You just listened to the posts titled, Let's Bust 6 Self-Care Myths and Imperfect Meditation. Not Everything Has to Be Perfect, both by Emma McLaren of getmirth.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary. Thank you to Instacart. I'm always looking for ways to streamline my life, and after the relaxed pace of summer, settling back into a routine can be overwhelming, especially with meal prep. This is where the convenience and quality of Instacart are a total game changer. With just a few taps, I can get everything for my weekly meals with delivery via Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes. The service has always been reliable for me, and I trust the experienced shoppers to pick fresh, high-quality ingredients just as I would. It's a seamless way Instacart helps to deliver my essentials, freeing me up to focus on my wellness instead of spending time on errands. Instacart brings convenience, quality, and ease right to your door so you can focus on what matters most. Download the Instacart app and use code OPTIMAL20 to get $20 off your first order of $80 or more. That's code OPTIMAL20 to get $20 off your first order of $80 or more. Offer valid for a limited time. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms apply. Thank you to Emma. I thought these two articles went together pretty well because they're both saying that taking care of ourselves doesn't have to be this perfect Instagram-worthy event. And that myth she busted, myth number 5, that self-care is always something that makes you happy, that one stood out to me because sometimes self-care isn't a bubble bath or a day at the spa, like she said. Sometimes, again, like she mentioned, it's finally making that dentist appointment you've been putting off for a while. And I can definitely relate to that one. Nobody loves going to the dentist, right? It's easy to procrastinate. You feel that dread, you think about the discomfort. It's the opposite of fun. But putting it off just creates more stress in the long run. Actually scheduling it and going, that is self-care. It's definitely not pleasant in the moment, but it's about taking responsibility for your long-term well-being. I think that ties right into her second article about imperfect meditation. We put off the dentist for the same reason we might put off meditating. We're waiting for the perfect time, or we're dreading an imperfect experience. But the real growth comes from just doing the thing imperfectly. And I'd argue that no one's meditation is perfect anyway. So a great reminder for today. Thank you to Emma. Thank you for being here. Wishing you a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.